Okay, now we want to skin the wing out. Remove the muscle that's past the shoulder and towards the elbow, and we want to skin this all the way from the shoulder to the wrist. And this can be a little trickier than the leg, but again we're going to let gravity help us by holding whatever we can get a hold of on the end of the humerus. So we grab the end of the humerus and any muscles that are still attached, and we hold this up and allow the hide to pull down against it. And then using our scalpel, just using the tip of the scalpel and cutting only on the leading edge of the leading edge of the muscle. We don't want to cut right into the hide. And the hide is kind of tucked in and attached back up into where the muscle attaches to the bone. So we want to just make sure that we lift it up, let it hang, and then carefully cut away so that the hide begins to fall away from the shoulder. And it starts to move down the humerus. And it's okay occasionally to give a pull on it. If you're gentle, just kind of pull that hide down once you've got it started. And don't cut any of the muscles off the humerus until we've skun all the way down to the wrist, past the elbow joint. So right now you'll notice that we're almost to the end. This is the shoulder joint. We're almost to the elbow joint, but not quite. So at this point what we want to do is pull on that hide a little bit more and then use our scalpel blade, and be careful not to cut through the hide again. Cut on the muscle, not the hide, but try to get that hide to release down. We want to release the hide until we can get it down past, we're now to the elbow joint, and we want to be able to see the muscles that are past the elbow joint. So again, I'm very careful, use the tip of the scalpel and just kind of work down through there, and then put a little pressure on to see if I can see those muscles start to show that are past the elbow joint. And I'm just starting to see this muscle right here. It's dark red in color on these ducks. I can start to see that muscle appear there, and I can see it on the back side as well. So now I'm just getting past the elbow joint, and I start to see that muscle. And at that point I need to stop. And because all of these feathers, the flight feathers, what we call our primary and then our secondary flight feathers, are attached to the outside of that bone or forearm of the duck. And we need to break them off. So we have kind of a strange technique where we take the humerus right here, hold it in our hands, and create a 90-degree angle between the humerus and the radius ulna, and make sure that that 90-degree angle stays that way, and then put it against the table and hold it there securely, and then take either your scissors or the back edge of your scalpel. I'll try my scissors first, and push down. And what we have to do, those feathers are so tightly attached to the bone, because they couldn't be flopping all over when the bird flies, they need to stay straight, that we have to break them away from their attachments to the bone. So I take my blunt object, which is my scissor, and I push gently, or maybe with a little bit of force but not too hard, push down against that bone. So here's the humerus, and now over here we have the radius and the ulna. I'm not positive, I think it's the ulna. I'm going to push right down against the ulna. And if you're quiet, you'll hear those feathers pop away. They kind of grind on there. So we didn't use our scalpel or scissors to cut. We simply removed the feathers, and you can see on the bone where each feather was connected. And then what we do is, again, let gravity help us. Lift this up because we wanted to go all the way to the wrist. If it's still connected with connective tissue, give it a slight cut, and then carefully pull that down. If it looks like connective tissue is holding it, give it a slight cut, and then pull the hide all the way down to the elbow joint, or the wrist joint. So we have shoulder, elbow, and now we're all the way down to the wrist. And when you've gotten all the way down to the wrist, now you're far enough that the muscles that are in the wing are all exposed and can be removed. Then you'll remove these muscles now the same way that you did on the leg. Go ahead and go down to the base of the humerus and slide the scalpel along. Move all the muscles away from the bone. Cut all the tendons at the elbow joint. Pull the muscles away from the bone up towards the shoulder. And then quickly and carefully just cut those away, so that this process doesn't take you a long time to remove all the muscles from the humerus and the radius and the ulna. So you get those cleaned up. Again, don't cut through the bone. Leave the tip of the bone attached, the tip of the humerus, leave that attached. It'll make it easier later when we rebuild the muscles that we're removing now. And then on your wing, the lower part of your wing, you kind of have to turn your curved scissors both ways. It works best if you just cut along the bone on one side, turn it around, cut along the bone on the other side, go back in and carefully cut your tendons at the wrist, as many as you can, and then move your muscles up towards the elbow and remove them there. And then, so you want to work fairly quickly, try to get these things cleaned off. And once you've got them all clean, then you want to invert or put the wing back in its normal position so that the hide, which is fairly thin out there, doesn't dry out and need to be rehydrated. So at this point, that's plenty clean. Might be able to get a little bit of muscle tissue out of the very bottom, but we'll add borax to that and preserve that, dry that out, so that we don't have any problems with it spoiling.